Yeah, so there's just all right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. My name is my name is Bamisile Tolulope. I'm a mobile front-end mobile developer at Bincom Dev Center. And today I'm going to be talking about managing states with React. I'm going to try to be as simple as possible. I'm not very good at explaining this, but I'll try to go as simple as I can actually go to make it clearer a little bit. So yeah, thank you. So we can move to the next slide. So yeah, this is just what I want to do now is just like I want to give us just a brief overview of what we are going to do today. I'll use code examples and just explanation here. Then after the explanation, I'll just go into the coding part of it to see how state is being used and how to manipulate states. So yeah, let's start. So please start from the beginning, the introduction. I'll move to the next part. No, back to yeah. So managing states in React is a crucial aspect of building robust web application. In this guide, we'll explore various techniques of managing states in React, including initializing state, updating state, and adding events and more. So states is one of the great functionality of React because it helps you to manage states more, like help you to like when you want to interact with your application, states help you to manage it better. So we can move to the next slide. Yeah, so state management refers to the process of managing data within an application. In web development, managing states is important because it enables developers to create dynamic user interface that respond to user input, common issues, developer face when managing states includes data inconsistency, code complexity, and performance issues. So this is just telling us what state is and why it is being done. So in React, we have two things called, we have something called props also and state. So people actually often most time mistaken the two for each other. And they both differ in different ways because props are actually read only. You can't actually, you are not meant to mutate props, but state can be mutated. That is one thing that is very, very unique about both of them. You can use state to actually update the props and set it to a new state. So, but you can't actually mutate that prop, but you can mutate a state and do whatever you want. Like say you want to switch, if you want to do like true or false, you can click on a button that will set it to true, click on the button that sets it to false, and it will respond accordingly to what you have put on it. So yeah, next slide. So now we can't talk about states without actually going firstly talking about React and what React is. So React is a JavaScript library for building user interfaces. It was created by Facebook and has gained popularity among web developers due to its simplicity and flexibility. So yeah, that's what React is. It is very simple to use and it has great functionalities for building web applications and front-end applications. So yeah, next slide. So yeah, so states in React. So in React, state is an object that holds data and can be changed by the components, unlike props, which are read-only. State is maintainable and can be updated by the components. So beside it's just a simple illustration of what state looks like. So they said state is an object. So what I will put here is that the example I'm going to code, I want to use this class component. I'm going to actually use a functional component because that's the better way of writing code nowadays. So, but while using a class component, your state must be in a class in an object format, so it can be easily updated. So if you check the screen now, you will see something called this.state. That's the state of your of your components that you want to either update or you want to reduce. And we have something called props. These props can be used to update the state. You can say that this state should be equals to props. So every time that these states, you want to call this state, is always going to give you what is in these props, and you can use it in your application wherever you want to use it. So the only difference is that these props, you can't change it, while the state, you can actually change it. So I say moment. Yeah, sorry about that. I had to switch on the right thing. Okay, so now next slide. So now to initialize the state, no, I already showed you what the state is, though I showed you like a completely initialized state. So to initialize the state, you can have a state that is an empty object. It is not yet initialized, it does not know what it's supposed to hold, because a state can either hold a number, it can hold an array, it can hold an object, it can hold a function. So whatever you want to pass to a state, it is depending on whatever you want to use it for. So it is you that the way you want to use your state, that it depends on you. So now to initialize state in React, you use the constructor method. The state object holds a key value pair, and each key represents a number of data in the component. So while building a class, I'll put it there now. While building a class component, you need a key value pair to represent the data that you're keeping into that state. But while building a functional component, it is very different from building a class component, because while you building a functional component, you are going to be making use of something called hooks. So hooks makes it easier to actually update your states. So we have different type of hook. We have use states hook, we have use effects hook, we have use ref hook, we have use memo. There are a lot of hooks that you can use that makes it easier for you to update your states. And yeah, so next. So updating state. So update state in React, you can use the setState method. It's important to know the setState is asynchronous and can take a callback function. So when they mean asynchronous is that it follows a set of when you call an asynchronous function, it will take a time to load. So that means you have to most of the time pass it into something called a try-catch method, so that because when your code is running, it does not, if you see that it's not asynchronous, you can easily just say, oh, that was finished, then it's easily fails. But if it's asynchronous, it will wait for it to finish before it moves to the other function to carry out. So that's what it means as asynchronous. So in the example I put beside it, they are trying to update the state of these components by increasing the number. So we have our state already counting our state is 0 here. So our function, all it does is to increment the count by 1 every time it's clicked. So you see the error sounds like this.handleClick.bind this. That means they are saying join these two functions together. That means this handleClick that we had here, they are binding it to this constructor so that it can be available for you to be able to update your state. So it's just pointing at this handleClick here. And what does this handleClick does? It sets the state. So anytime you want to set state here, you call this.setState. Then you take your count, then you update your count. Then you use this.setState +1. If it's that you don't want to use +1, you can use +2. And if it's that you want to be using the props you pass to update it, all you will pass inside this one is not 1, you will pass your props here. Then you can do a type check to ensure that it is always a number that is going to be passing, so that your code will not be confusing or it will not throw an error. So if someone pass a string, it will not affect your code. So next slide. Yeah, so handling events. React provide an easy way to handle events using event handlers. You can update states in response to an event, which enables you to create interactive user interfaces. So in the last slide, you will see that there's a place called handleClick, and this is the handleClick here. All it is doing, it is handling an event, and the event is handling this handleClick event. So on click here is what is triggering the event that is triggering this undo click event. So this on click, the way we have if you are familiar with Vanilla.js, you have something like on click. You can use something like on click to when you call your DOM, you pick your DOM, then you have already target it, then you add the event listener. That's what this on click is doing. It's adding an event listener to this button. The anytime you click it, it calls these functions, and all this function does is to increment it. You can, if it's that your own is not incrementing it, maybe your own is printing out something like welcome to Bincom. This can do it also. So it just depends on you, what you want. So yeah, moving on. Next slide. So lifting up states is a technique used to share state between components by lifting up state to the parent components. You can create more reusable, maintainable code. So sorry, I don't know why it's not showing. Sorry, I don't know why it's not showing. So, but to lift up states, that means obviously from the name, it could have been what it does. It's trying to pass states to the parent component. Let's say, for example, now you have a component. Let me say you have an application. In the application, you want to share a data around your whole application. You want to share it around your whole application, but it's in a nested function. It is not available in the application itself. Let's say it's in another component that is not in the application itself. You have to pass that form. The way you can pass it to your components is either you pass it to the props back using a component, or you use a function. You create a function that sends it, that's to lift up that state. You lift up the state. So whenever you use take it, you use you can send it to what are they calling it? Using use context most of the time. Use something, use context. That context will help you to share your states, or you are lifting it up to every component that needs it. I think when I'm writing code, I think it should be clearer than more explaining it. So next slide though. But lifting up states is to share components between each different component. So yeah, Redux. Redux is a management library that helps you on a large scale to manage your states very well. Let's say you are building an application and you have a lot of states to manage, like you have like 20 states to manage. If you are putting 20 states on one component, the code becomes unreadable, and it becomes, it's not attractive. So that's where Redux comes in. How Redux works is this. Redux creates a store for you where you can get all your components and keep it in that store. So whichever component needs that a function there, we'll go there and pick whatever it needs. Go there, pick whatever it needs, and use it in wherever state you want to use it. So how Redux also works is this. It creates a store. It takes in your reducer. Your reducer is a function that performs an action. Then your action is what you, the user of the application, is dispatching. More like you are sending to the application that you want. Let's say you are typing, you want to get water from the fridge now. So you now have maid. So you have a personal maid that is all the maid needs to do it. All she does is getting water from the fridge. She cannot do any other thing apart from getting water from the fridge. You have to pass the appropriate response to her, water. So water that you're sending to her is your own action that you're sending to her already. And she knows that, okay, that once I take water, I can take it to that fridge, give it to the fridge. The fridge already knows that, oh, water. The fridge will give you can read it already. That's your Redux. Your Redux is the one reading it. And then immediately you read it finish, she sends it to your dispatcher. That's your, what are they calling it? The maid. She brings it back to you. Water will get back to you, and from there you can use your water where you want it. So that's how Redux works in human explanation. But yeah, so all those explanations I did, we now have functions for them instead of person. So that person is a reducer. That's your store. Your store keeps your reducer. It holds your reducer. Then it binds a function. Your store keeps your reducer, then it binds it to the dispatcher that you are using to dispatch action to it. And yeah, there are more to it, so I would explain that one in details. So next slide. So yeah, before I go to best practices, I think this is where I think I can go to the coding part of it. So I want to build, at this point, I'm going to build a very, very simple to-do list. I think that can be the simplest thing I can build at this point. So I build the to-do list. I'm not building it from scratch because I've already built it before. So most of the time, I'll just be picking my components and explaining everything I'm doing along the way. I hope I'm very clear.
Yes,
All right. So please, I will need to share my screen now. I don't know if I can stop sharing.
Can start sharing.
All right. Yeah, can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen now.
Yes.
All right. So as I've said, I have already built the application down already. So I'm not starting it from the onset. I've built it already. So the process I went about building it was, the first thing I did was I did npx create React app. And I named my application my app. So sorry, this is the wrong spelling of create. So I created a React app. So like this, I'm going to create a React app like this, this structure. So once this finish running, this structure that we have here comes out. So I'm not going to run it again because I already have it. So the next thing that would be done now would be, let's start the application running. So for me to run the application to see how it looks, just npm start. Yes. So now let's go to the app.js. So in the app.js, you would notice that I'm having a code that I've already written down there. So I am going to do this. So so now I'm creating a new folder called to do. Hope everyone can hear me, please.
I can hear you.
All right. All right. So I'm creating a new folder called to do. All right. So I need to import. So basically, I need to create a React app here. Exports, imports. What grade? All right, so so now I can, what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to import that to-do app that I'm creating. I want to import it here so that I can show you guys what I am building. Import right, so that's it. So all right, so that I'll be able to tell you guys that I'm not doing any magic. So as our app is running, trying to start in the background. So I am going to be building this application, not from the start. I already have everything built down before. So I'll just mainly just be explaining what I am building here. So yeah, as I explained before, we are trying to manage states, and you will see that in the example that I showed you on the in the slide, I used component application instead of I used a component instead class component. Here I told you I'm going to use a functional component. So this is how to create a functional component. So this is how to create a functional component. So you just define your function and you export it. So the first thing I did was I created a state. Nobody hear my parents. Please, can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I can hear you.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
all right. So the first thing I did is I created a state. In the slide example I showed you, what I used in the slide example was I used what are you calling it? I used class. Now I'm using a functional. For the functional one, I'm using a hook called useState. This useState hook performs exactly what the setState and the state, what they are doing. It uses it it uses both setState and use hook together. Use state hook, which you can use to set your states. So this is how you actually create a state in functional components. You destructure out your tags, and you use this set state is what you use to actually set your state whenever you want to set it. So if I want to turn this state to something like my name, I'm just going to pass set tags and open a bracket. So if I want to set it now, I can say, and just a set tags, and I can pass this contrast. So this way, I am already setting the state. So I can just write return task. So that way, I've already set the state and I'm returning it. So this way, every time it sees it, it is going to always be tags that it will be returning to me. So, and I can show that. Can anybody see browser on my screen?
No.
You can see it.
Okay, that means only this page that is sharing. I'm trying to share it, so I don't know if it's possible. So you can see my screen like this, right?
Yeah, you can.
Can you see my browser also? Yes, you can see my browser.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. So now this is what that mock to-do list looks like. So what I want to do now is I will just change so that you'll be able to see the one I just finished creating. So I'll change this one from app. I'll change it to do. So now you should be able to see my to-do. The tasks I just created finishing. So Yep. Where is it? Okay, I'll do it. So so I can pass anything here now, tax. If I go here, I am going to see tax. I should see tax on my screen. Why is it not showing? I meant to return a GSX though. Yeah, I meant sorry. Sorry, I am the one that made a mistake. I meant to return a GSX, something like this. And I'm going to pass tax here. They need styling and all. Yeah, this is correct. Yeah, anyway, so back to the how you call it. So I'll copy the states that I created already. So just use it straight up like that. So basically, what this one is doing for every initial tax will look like, because I'm using reducers now. I'm not using I'm setting my so I'm setting my reducers into my function. I'm using Redux, so that's why. Control V. I have this. So this is my reducer hook that I'm talking about. This reducer. So this is my init array, and this reducer function. I will have a function that is called function. And if we check what the reducer function looks like, we need to define that if I pass with the type called added, it should add what is in the, it should copy the state of the former function, then add the new action I'm passing, add it to it. So I want to delete it, you should filter it out so that you won't see it on the screen. And if I should edit it, it should just I should be able to click on it, then I should be able to edit it. So now we need so these are my functions. I would explain them also. So the first one, undo change. Undo change is whenever you create a new task, it helps you to update the state of your target.values, talking about the task that is inside your is talking about whatever is in your input box, because I will have an input box. So this one will help me to be changed. Click is whenever I want to send it my database, I'll call it. So I am by default. So if I say undo click, it's going to add If I say undo delete, it's going to delete. And if I say undo edit, it's going to edit the tags for me. So those are the functions I have created and I have stored in my Redux, whatever that's called. That's everything for me. So this is what we have here is this is JSX. JSX helps you to write something like an HTML in your JavaScript code, but it's not HTML. They are just your normalism, but write them in your code and it will work. So what this one is doing is that it should create like a card, and that card would be able to have an input where you can input, and it will have a button that you can use to add by default. Then the screen that you use to view, this is where you view it. So everything in my array, I am mapping each item out, and I am creating an li out of it. And this li, it has items. Item is a component I created that takes in the items, the functions that you want to do. So let me show you how the items look like. So now this is what my items look like. Once you call anything pass into these items, it looks for item, looks for unedit, and it looks for delete. So unedit, this is how it works. So there's a state there that is managing. So if it is true, that means you're editing. If it is false, that means you're not editing. That's what toggle does. So that state will always be changing if you click that button up and down. So this one, I'm using it to manage the state because in my return, I want to have my item, but that my item, it can either be I am saving or I am editing. So if I'm editing, I will see that item and this edit button. Then if I am saving, I'm going to see an input box with save. So this is what it will just be looking at. This state will help me to keep managing it so that I can be switching between those states that I've created. And if you want to edit, you copy all the states, then you pass what you want to edit, update. So this way I'm updating a state. So if you look for anywhere that is to do in this item and update it, because it's just really an item to pick and to update it. So I think that's all for now. It should work like this. Okay. All right, I think it's already working. So can you see my screen?
Yeah. We can.
Yes, I can see your screen.
All right, let me try to make it bigger a bit. So, all right, so you can see the tags that I've created. So why you are seeing these tags here is because of why you are seeing that tags in that distance, because I've passed tags into this place. That's why. So it is studying what is in the state option. So if I remove this tags and I put enter your text or enter your tags, so it will now, we will see the state of that one to update accordingly. So have you seen? So the state is updating, but I can still update it. I can delete it and update it. So say so have you seen? So if I click on like do long do, I click on add. So now I want to edit it. Like I want to say, oh, I made a mistake in spelling of my laundry. I can click on edit, then I can click on this and I can save it. Why I'm able to do that is because if you check my code again, if we go to where we are editing, this is where we are editing from. So This is where we're editing from. So what this one is doing is that by default, it is false. And when it is false, that means it will come here, it will check. If edit is true, this statement here means if edit is true, it should return this view. Item should be equals to this. That's this state. This item here is like is what I'm using to update my screen. I did this to make the code readable, so that once anybody looks at this screen can easily know that, oh, I'm trying to say that, okay, I'm just updating this item. This item does not know what it is. So, but once this one now gives, okay, if it is true, that means I want to edit this screen. If this item is true, that means I want to edit. You will say that input name, then value item dot to do. That's why you can see that the former item that was there always come back, because this value is returning it back. And this undo change, it is calling it from here. This undo change. So whenever you put undo change, whenever you type anything to that box, you are already updating this. And when you click on save, immediately you click on save, you are changing the state back. That's what you are doing. So once you change the state back to false, what you start seeing is just this screen, this item dot to do with the delete button. So now let's say I am done with the tags. I am done with this do laundry. I can just
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, I am actually done already. So you can delete, and you can delete this one also. Also, you can enter random tags. So that's it. So basically, I am managing state. The state I'm using to know when I want to edit or when I want to save. So that's just it. I don't know if I was able to pass knowledge, and I hope I was clear enough. Thank you. So if you have questions.
Do you need the last part of the slide?
What do you say?
Your slide is not finished yet.
Oh yeah, I'm going back there now. You can share the screen. I'm not sharing that. Let me stop sharing. It's just extending statements. It's not much. All right. So yeah, best practices. I will just tell you this all fast. The best practices in React is that when you are creating a component, don't make it too bulky. Let your component, let them be functional. Let them just do one thing at one time. So like if your component is just to add two numbers together, don't let it check if it's a number. Let that one assign it to another component. Call another component to do that one. Let your function, let it perform just what it does. And also your props should not be updated. Don't update it, don't set the states. Just reset the state instead of you to update it. Just take the props and pass it in. So instead of you to update it, let it be pure. Your component should always be pure. So if it's that you will need to pass it in, you put out, let's say you want to pass 3, like you want to pass something like 3, but you want it to be 9 when you pass it in. You could have done your mathematical calculation inside, then pass it to the component, and your component will return 9. Don't let it come. If it's that your function is just to do 3 multiplied by whatever number is passed, let's always do 3 multiplied by 8. Don't let it do anything else. So functional components, keep it short and keep the functional the components to the simplest form. One thing to think about. And also when using state, better to use Redux. Redux helps you to manage your states very well. And yeah, Redux is very good. And your state, so no matter how many states you have, while using Redux, it's easier to manage. So yeah, conclusion. Managing state is an essential part of building modern web application. By using these techniques and to discuss in this guide, you can create more scalable, maintainable, and performance application. So I don't know if anyone have question. So yeah, thank you all for listening.
Yeah, thank you. We're actually out of time. So it's 9:45 on the dot. So I guess if you have any question, let's drop it on the channel.